the story of Esther is one of the fun narratives in the Hebrew Bible. Not a whole lot of verses dealing with who begat whom, nor rules about whether it's okay to eat rabbits. It's a book that has you just jump straight into the action. The King James Version translates the first clause of the first verse as, "Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus." But for this book only, I prefer the opening clause in the NIV. This is what happened during the time of Xerxes. So let's get to it. This is what happened during the time of Xerxes. King Xerxes had a gymongous kingdom, India to Egypt. King threw a party that lasted half a freaking year. Guy was an extrovert. At the end of the party, he threw an after party that lasted a freaking week. Well, Xerxes got good and drunk, so drunk that he called for Queen Vashti to stand before his drunk friends that they all might marvel at her beauty. Something like, "Hey, yeah, come in here and wear your royal tiara." And that tends to get translated as, only the royal tiara. And she declined. She said, "I'm not going to stand in front of him and his drunk friends so they can ogle at me." Well, of course, this caused a ruckus. Ooh, everybody said, "Who wears the pantaloons in this castle?" And then this caused some more of the rabble-rousing people to say, what if this news gets out? Women everywhere telling their husbands, "No, I'm not going to do that dumb thing you told me to do." All because Vashti said, "No, I'm not going to do this dumb thing you told me to do." So what the king needs to do is to issue a decree. Vashti doesn't want to visit the king? Fine. She doesn't get to. Once they hear that, women everywhere will be inspired to obey their husbands. King said, "Yeah, you know what? That's a good idea." And he wrote that into law. Wives needed to obey their husbands. And they said, "Hey, you know what? On top of that, we need to have a Miss Persia contest. And the winner of the Miss Persia contest will be the new queen. And we'll kick Vashti out." And the king said, "Hey, that's an even better idea." So the word went out, and young women from across the land should go to the capital to compete for the right to wear the crown instead of Queen Vashti. Um, all out of the way in the boonies was Mordecai, yay! And Mordecai, yay! His uncle's daughter, his cousin, I guess, Esther, yay! And she was living with him as his own daughter and thought, hey, Esther, yay, was lovely and beautiful, and she'd make a great queen. She could totally win Miss Persia. So now Mordecai, yay, and Esther, yay. We're both Jewish. Let's establish that now. It's important to the story. They're both Jewish. And I said, "Okay, let's go off to the castle." On the way, Mordecai, yay, told Esther, yay, don't tell anybody you're Jewish. This is important. And so, okay, they didn't tell anybody they were Jewish. And so Esther, yay, right away came across as a contender to like the handlers. He walks in, and the eunuchs who are in charge of picking out people immediately thought that Esther was great, and so they said, "Okay, Esther, we're putting you through the Miss Persia finishing school." And this sort of thing took like 6 months. Like the first half is myrrh and the second half is frankincense, or maybe it's the other way around. But anyway, um, you have to go to finishing school, and then only after you go through 6 months of finishing school, then you get to visit the king once, and you only get to stay if the king can remember your name afterwards. So you better make that good first impression, and probably have an easy to remember name. Anyway, finally, after 6 months, finishing school stopped. Esther, yay, it's her turn, and she goes to visit the king, and the king said, right there, "Stop the contest, we have a winner." And Vashti got the royal boot. That'll learn her. And anyway, official holiday followed. Well, Mordecai, yay, was just sitting around the king's gate because, that's what he did. And he overheard some of the doorkeepers bad talking the king and talking about how they wanted to take him out. So Mordecai, yay, informed Esther, yay, who informed the king. And there was a full inquiry, and they found out, yes, doorkeepers did pull this crap. And so both the doorkeepers were executed. That'll learn them. Anyway, somewhere around here, Haman, boo, shows up and climbs the ladder pretty quickly. He gets the job of the king's main man, and all the bennies, such as like people bowing when he shows up, um, and that sort of thing. Due all the respect that the king's main man is due. Well, Mordecai, yay, doesn't bow. The only person who deserves that degree of reverence is God. Mere mortals, yeah, you don't bow to them. Um, anyway, Haman, boo, gets ticked off. Why doesn't Mordecai, yay, bow? Well, it turns out Mordecai, yay, did not follow his advice about not telling anyone about the whole Jewish thing. And so Haman, boo, got told Mordecai, yay, Mordecai doesn't bow because he's Jewish. Well, they told Haman, boo, about how Jewish people just don't bow to mere mortals. And Haman, boo, didn't just get ticked at Mordecai, yay, he got ticked off at all the Jews. So Haman, boo, went to the king and said, have you heard about these people? They totally keep themselves separate from everybody. I say if they want to keep themselves separate, we take them out. One day a year, it'll be like in that movie, The Purge. And King said, okay. And so Haman, boo, went on to write the legislation himself and had Xerxes sign it and seal it with his signet ring. This is an important plot point, the signet ring thing. The letters went out far and wide, and the night of the purge was the 13th day of Adar, or Adar. I don't know how to pronounce it. Anyway, Mordecai, yay, found out about all this and went full sackcloth and ashes. Yeah, most of the Jews in the city went full sackcloth and ashes. Esther, yay, found out about Mordecai, yay, doing this and sent messengers to find out what the deal was. I guess she didn't follow politics. She didn't, have the equivalent of Twitter back then. And Mordecai, yay, told the messenger, hey, you tell Esther, hey, what's going on? And he gave a copy of the law and told the messenger to explain it and everything. And then, of course, Esther, yay, go to the king and beg him to change this. Well, there's one of these laws that said if somebody goes to see the king when he or she has not been summoned, the penalty is death. So I'm guessing maybe the king wasn't an extrovert, maybe he was an introvert. Because, like, that law makes sense to me. But why would he have a party that lasted half a year? Anyway, if you go to see the king when you're not summoned, the penalty is death. But if the king says, all right, you're cool, the king can offer his gold scepter to them and give them a reprieve. But seriously, when you weren't invited, death. Mordecai, yay, told Esther, hey, you're fair game during the purge too. Go see the king. You're the only one who can pull this off. Because, like, any of us try to go see him, we're going to be killed. But he likes you. And so Esther, yay, told Mordecai, yay, okay. But seriously, you have to fast night and day for 3 days. I will fast too, and so will my servants. And after the fast, I'll do it. If I die, I die. Personally, I would have spent the 3 days eating. Anyway, 3 days later, Esther, yay, shows up in court, and the king is in trance. It's like, oh my gosh, it's so glad to see you. He offers a scepter, and this part of the story, the queen touches the tip of the scepter, and I'm saying, hey, it's just a family show. Anyway, he's so in trance with her, and he said, baby, yay, what do you need? Up to half the kingdom, and it's yours. I don't know, maybe the fasting made her look extra good. I don't know. Anyway, and so she said, can we have a lunch date? And you know what? Bring Haman. Boo. And King Cha. Somebody go get Haman right now. Boo. So they're sitting at lunch and drinking again, and the king repeats his question. Hey, you know what do you want? Up to half the kingdom. And I'm thinking that wine makes him mercurial or something. Anyway, Esther, hey, kicked the can down the road even further. Hey, what I want is a lunch date tomorrow, and I'll tell you at lunch tomorrow. Okay, so Haman, boo, leaves lunch feeling pretty good because it's just it's just me and the king and Esther, and so he's feeling good. And he's leaving. There's Mordecai, yay, at the gate, and he's not bowing to Haman because of that thing. And so Haman, boo, is ticked and goes home and he complains about how Mordecai, yay, is ruining his day. He had a pretty good day. Private lunch with a royal couple. and it was just them, and the royal queen, yay, specifically asked for Haman, boo, to be there, and then he's leaving, and then there's Mordecai, yay, not bowing, and that's just flying the ointment. That's just one poison pill for the day. So Haman, boo, his wife, boo, says, so set up a gallows right next to the house, 75 feet high, and we'll hang Mordecai, yay, on it. So Haman, boo, said, yeah, I'm going to do that. And so Haman, boo, sets up a gallows and runs off to the palace to ask if he can impale or hang Mordecai. Yay! That night, the king can't sleep. I don't know. He's bugged by something. So he yells for an attendant to bring him the chronicles of his reign. And you know what? He knew he forgot something. So he said, "Wait, that Mordecai, yay, fellow, was the guy who brought the assassinating doorman to justice, right? Uh, uh, did we get him anything?" Um, and the attendants were like, "Yeah, no." Okay, well, we got to do something about that. Hey, who's here in the court that can be in charge of some stuff for me? And it said, "Oh yeah, Haman, boo, just showed up." And the king's, "Oh good, go get Haman, boo." King opens the conversation with Haman, boo, with, "Okay, let's say that there's a guy who has okay, let's back up. All the translations give the same phrasing here, and this phrasing is really charming. What shall be done for the man whom the king delights to honor?" Haman, boo, is sitting here thinking, "Oh my golly, he's talking about me." He puffs up and he says, "Well, that guy should get an official, formerly by the king robe. He should get a formerly owned by the king horse to ride. And they should ride him around town yelling, 'This is what you get when you please the king.'" And in a magnificent moment that could have been like from any sitcom from the 80s, King says, "We should totally do that." And then Haman, boo, puffs up, and the king says, um, "We need to do that to Mordecai. Yay!" And then, oh, by the way, Haman, boo, it's your job to yell that stuff about how thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delights to honor. And so Haman, boo, had to do that all freaking day. So that was pretty funny. And so Haman, boo, goes home for the night. And he wakes up and he complains to his wife, boo, and she tells him, "Well, now that I think about it, not probably be a bad time to ask for Mordecai, yay, to be hung." And like right in the middle of that conversation, the messengers show up and say, "Hey, yeah, you know how you had a lunch date today with the king and queen? Yeah, that's now." Okay, so it's lunch and there's wine again, and the king asks Esther, "Okay, like seriously." To Esther, "Yay! Okay, seriously, what in the heck do you want? Up to half the kingdom." And at this point, you're expecting Esther, yay, to say something to the effect of, "Yeah, let's have another lunch date," but she doesn't. She says, Esther says, "Yay, dude, if you like me, then spare me and my people. We've been sold out to be destroyed, killed, wiped out. If you're just going to sell us into slavery, that wouldn't be worth, bugging you in your throne room." So I'm thinking he wasn't true. Anyway, but seriously, me and my people are all going to die. And the king at this point is probably bugging out, thinking, "Oh crap, am I in trouble?" And so he asks, "Okay, wait, what? Who's doing this to you?" And Esther, yay! And a big reveal, sweeps in, points her finger, boom, right at Haman, boo. And Haman, poops a brick. And so the king goes into this wild wrath, and he has to leave for a second. And Haman is suddenly put in a position where he's saying to Esther, "Esther, yay! Oh, please don't have me killed." And so he grabs her, and he's, "Seriously, you got to tell the king." And so the king walks back right in the middle of Haman, boo, grabbing Esther, yay, and begging her to tell the king not to kill him. And the king starts yelling, "And now he's grabbing Esther, yay!" and wine. That's the moral is like don't drink as much as the king. And so the guards grab Haman, boo, and once you know it, one of the attendants points out, he's got this gallows next to his house, and it's like 75 feet high. He was going to put Mordecai, yay, on it. And so the king said, oh, did he now? And so he had Haman, boo, hoisted on his own petard. Yay! And so then the king was in a good mood again. And so to wrap up the denouement, they gave Haman's booze estate to Mordecai. Yay! And, I can see him moving in and saying, well, the first thing we got to do is get rid of the gallows. Maybe tomorrow. And there's still this big problem with the legislation that went out. And so Esther, went back to throw herself at the king's feet, and they did the whole scepter thing again. And she asked, can we repeal that law? The purge thing. And the king said, okay, that's a toughie, because I technically can't repeal any of my laws when I use my signet ring. But how's this? We'll explicitly allow Jewish folks to assemble and arm themselves and attack anybody who attacks them or their families. And it'll be like in that movie, The Purge. And so that law, with the signet ring thing and everything, went out too, the follow-up law. And so the Jews could now arm themselves, and the sackcloth and ashes turned into armor, and it was pretty much open carry. And Mordecai, yay, was ascended in the palace. All the various nobles and governors and whatnot said, what if we got extra people? Maybe we should help the Jews out with this purge night thing. And so, they did a tally after the first purge night, and in Susa alone, the Jews killed 500 assassins. And on top of that, they got the 10 sons of Haman, boo, and those guys were all hung too. But, and they make a point of this, nobody touched the plunder, because it wasn't about the plunder. Anyway, Mordecai, himself wrote the original account of what happened and told everybody to observe the 13th and 14th days of Asar every year. Eat, party, give food to your friends, give gifts to the poor. That's what they did and still do. And you know why it's called Purim? Because Haman, boo, drew lots to pick the day of the purge. And one lot is a pure, and the plural are Purim. And it was Queen Esther that established it.